I just want to put this out there. If the Giants don't beat the freaking Washington Commanders, I'm not watching football for the rest of the season. Because if they can't beat that sorry ass freaking team, there's no way they're gonna beat Dallas and Philadelphia and freaking the Bengals and everything. So I'm not even gonna suffer the rest of the season. I'm just letting you know that right now. I'll watch every other game but the Giants game because
That's
this be
that's
too
funny.
sad.
That's really funny.
This the truth, man.
You're
Can't
a
beat this. Frick.
big football fan.
Big Giants
Yeah, well,
fan.
I'm a big Giants fan. I've been a Giants fan now for like probably close to like well over 50 years, you know.
Wow.
So win or lose, yeah. And so yeah, it's heartbreaking, man. You know, but we still got those two Super Bowl wins that we snatched away from Tom Brady. So
Yes, yes. You
so
know,
yeah, that gets old.
that's always gonna be enough for me. I'm just like, in my lifetime, I got to see my team win the Super Bowl twice, and I mean, what a treat that
Exactly.
was.
And to beat and to win it the way
Oh, you getting cut out? You got cut out a little
it
bit.
was not just winning it; it was winning it the way we won it.
I
Can you hear
know.
me now?
Epic, epic, yeah.
Epic, epic.
Epic,
So that was
epic.
today, Alex.
Well,
Good.
yeah, we'll just I think it's a good time now to get started. So, first I want to say welcome to anybody that is brand new seeing this page, or if you're on social, if it's your first time on the Zoom. This is A Course in Miracles. I just got the cover of it because it fell off my book. The book is right here in front of me. So this is actually much, much easier. Um, it is a book that was written in the late 60s, early 70s, published in the 70s by Helen Schuckman. She really channeled this body of work, and the messages was coming, and it came from, it actually was birthed out of an environment of conflict. She was working at Columbia University, and it was a very hostile environment, and everybody kind of stepped on each other to get ahead. Um, People talked behind each other's backs and all that. And her colleague, William Pfefford, um, you know, was like, there must be a better way, right? There must be a better way. And this is the key right here. When we say there must be a better way, it actually implies to our willingness to something beyond ourselves. When we come from this, like, I already know, all learning and all growth really stops. And we really don't know. We just think we know, right? So this is an entire course of shifting your perception from that place of I know, and constricting myself, and not allowing myself and stopping the light from coming through me by saying I know how this works. I know where love goes. I know who deserves love and who doesn't deserve love. I know what's right. I know what's wrong. And coming from that place, we really are restricting the light. And by restricting the light, we restrict ourselves. Our relationship to God, to Source, actually diminishes as we're doing that. So this whole course is a shift from this closed-minded mentality to this new open place of there must be a better way. And that's the invitation for the Holy Spirit and God to enter your mind. And from that place, when we are connected to Source and when we share the will of God, everything becomes more peaceful. Peace comes to those that are connected in that way, that follow and are living in flow. So the course was channeled after she said that. The voice just started to come, and you can't actually help the voice and the thoughts that come into your mind, right? I mean, we have thoughts which create our belief systems, which create our experiences. So where do the thoughts come from? Right? And that's the part that we should be in discovery and excitement about, is just asking that question, like, where did all this come from? Who is this thought? And then who's witnessing this thought? Right? And then who's reacting and responding to this thought? So in that place, we actually allow ourselves to kind of step back a little bit and have a different experience and relationship to these thoughts that are going through in our minds. So the course itself is, it's Christian in languaging, but it's not Christian, right? It actually triggers people that are Christian and people that aren't Christian, just because of the way things are expressed. It's almost like Eastern philosophy in Western languaging. Okay, and the course also says this is not the only way. This is one modality in which some people will find their way. Some people will be able to hear the voice to guide them. Some people, right? And I think a lot of people that actually are the greatest teachers of love and God might not even believe in God or teach a course of miracles or any religious work. Some of the greatest teachers of God, all they have to be is someone that teaches forgiveness. Right? There's only two things that are happening. You either forgive or you condemn. That's it. Like in your thoughts, when you respond or react to somebody, you're either forgiving the pictures that you've created, the world that you've created, or you're condemning what's going on by judging or attacking or shaming or guilting or whatever that looks like, right? So maybe the boundaries of so it's not that, see, like in that thought right there, right? So that's perfect. Thank you for that question, Jamie. Like we're either, in that question, we are either perceiving organized religion from a place of condemnation or a place of forgiveness. And what I mean by that, from a place of forgiveness, is it's actually not what I think it is, right? It's not happening the way that I see it happening either. Because all paths really lead back to God. All paths. Okay, and it's not just one religion, or it's not a Course in Miracles or a war or anything like that, but every single path leads back to God, because that's the only path there is. So from that viewpoint, we can look upon everything in the world as, oh, this is just another opportunity for me to realign my thoughts back with the truth, back with love, the frequency of love. So when we have questions like this, it's not that I can give you an answer to your question, but it's just, okay, I asked this question. Why did I ask this question? And then we get a chance to look, and then we just look at, oh, it's just my own perception of what's going on that causes confusion, because clarity and certainty are with those who have complete faith and trust in God. That means there are no accidents in the plans of God. There are no chance. Chance plays no part in that. So if chance plays no part in that, that means all organized religions, all bad people, all wrong things that are happening in the world, they are a part of the plan of every single person returning home. All right? So that's really the teachings of the Course kind of in a nutshell. And for me, I recently, for some reason, have had these, I guess they're Jehovah's Witnesses, knocking on my door. And I used to just be like, no, I'm not interested. Like, I'm good. I already know what I have my stance on what's going on. It's a Course of Miracles. That's it. Right. And then I realized, maybe this resistance that I have here, I should kind of engage it more. So I talk to the people, I spend the time with them, then we schedule a time for them to come and teach me about the Bible and all that. And in the beginning I realized, wow, I still have some resistances to this. I thought I was very open. They're like, okay, well, it's got to be Jehovah's the name. Okay, don't say God, don't say anything else. It's like Jehovah, that's it. And I was like, interesting, right? But their words and their symbols, and because even though they chose that it's got to be this way, I can still see it kind of from a forgiveness place where, oh yeah, okay, it's the symbol that you're using, cool, right? I don't have to judge it. So then I got more, I was able to be more open, and we sat and I was paying attention to what they're saying. And a lot of what they're saying, yeah, it kind of is a Course in Miracles also. And as I was open to them, all of a sudden they were more open to my opinions and what was going on. So we actually spent like 30 minutes together yesterday in my kitchen. It was kind of interesting. And my wife walks down like, what the hell's going on down here? And I scheduled another session with them to come. Right. And it's back to that place of like all accepting. I am all accepting to everything. I am open to those ideas because they're all a part of a certain level of truth, so that kind of spurred the thought of what I wanted to bring to this call to start was, all of these modalities in the world, they lead all back to God. And that some of the greatest teachers of God doesn't even study A Course in Miracles or not religious at all, but just the fact that they are they teach forgiveness. Go ahead, Fraser.
Coming from being raised as a Jehovah's Witness myself.
Oh, nice.
When they say that about like that's his only name, but actually in the Bible it says, I'm a God of many names. This is just one of my names.
Nice.
That's what I want to share.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And as we continue to open up and as we listen, like there is no, like all the words that are being used, the words that are coming out of my mouth, the words that are in A Course in Miracles as we read a little bit, they are all symbols, which symbols can be misinterpreted from our own sliver, our own tiny piece of story, right, of our experiences and our worldview. So we can misunderstand and misinterpret words all the time. However, the Course says it does not matter because understanding is beyond these symbols. True understanding is beyond these symbols, that the transmission of the Course and the words itself, the transmission of something that is channeled and without the ego, will always transfer love. The frequency of love will be transferred through here. That's why the understanding and trying to figure all this out, knowing the answer, does not really matter. Right? What matters is that somehow, in whatever way that we can connect to, there is something here for me to remember about myself. Right? The Course also says that whether or not you remember or deny the will of God does not matter either. Because it exists and it is moving forward, and you're part of this expansion and the sharing of love, no matter what you do, what you say, and whether you see it or not. You are playing in a part of it. Now, if you want peace in your life, you have to consciously get with the program. You gotta consciously roll with the flow of God. That's really all that there is for us, right? It's just like we exist in this meat suit and we're constantly fighting against the will of God by saying, I know I know what I want. I know what's best for me. And every time we do that, we're kind of swimming against the current, and swimming against the current is just hard and unnecessary, actually. The goal is to get yourself to a place that you're so at peace with just flowing with wherever the river takes you, wherever the current takes you, you're good with it. And just know that as you're flowing and as you're going with the current, that God is with you. That everything you ever need, any obstacles that you come against, you will have the tools, the fortitude, the mindset, and everything to be able to get through it. Because it's not your strength that you have to lean on. It is God's strength that is with you. And so when we can remember that God walks with us wherever we go, then we can lend and we can borrow that strength, and we can we can share in that strength, and from that place we strengthen others as well. And as we strengthen others, we strengthen us, and then this strength just continues to grow. So that's basically A Course in Miracles and what I wanted to bring up today. However, and I want to give anybody on here or on social an opportunity to, I don't know, share any challenges or things that you may not be able to let go of, and you need some support of maybe some words from A Course in Miracles to guide you in the forgiveness process. So does anybody want to share anything? Anything coming up like that you're challenged with in life? And I can also, have Marianne Williamson support us to start. Okay, well, I guess I'll read first, and hopefully that inspires something and evokes a conversation. This is from A Year of Miracles. I love just reading and drawing motivation, inspiration from it. Day 264. When justice calls to me, may I always respond. Though I live a life of plenty, there are those in the world who suffer unjustly. They are bowed down in sorrow and suffering by systems over which they have no control. May my life, in whatever way possible, help ease the burden of those who suffer from the injustices of the world. Hang on. May I not forget that I am here to extend the compassion of God, to help repair the world, to heal the heart of humanity. Whatever I can do with my love and with my efforts, may Spirit guide me and give me the power to do. Dear God, may love pour down upon me and use me as its vehicle. May my life in some way be of service to those who suffer. May my efforts in some way bring justice to those in need of it. May my life in all ways be yours. Amen. Whew. Wow. What a...
To speak.
Yes.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
I'm happy that what you read actually had something to do with what I had in my heart and mind to ask when I was hesitant to ask, and something that I have a little bit of work with right now is people say that like, how do I start? Like I like to be in like harmonious places. People that treat you well, treat well people. I'm a very big delusion people. My person. My Venus is very prominent. I have my Libra and Taurus. And anyways, like when people are like very proud, or people don't treat you well or don't speak in a nice way, I have like a really hard time. It's like, or people are hurt and they just want to like hurt. They don't want to hurt you, but people, when they don't treat you well, I don't know how to put it. I have a hard time, and I just like put myself off. I don't take myself there. Like that's happening right now. Like I'm going to a Sundance, and there's a brother that just gave me some trouble a little bit, and I'm there for him. I took him some blankets last night, just for it to be well. But it's like I don't want to be near people that aren't nice. Is that an opportunity to forgive, or is it okay, or just stuff like that? I take myself out of places I don't feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's right or not, or what do you have for that?
It's interesting, right? I mean, this is a great question, and a question that is asked very often. It's actually a conversation really of boundaries and then of judgment too, right? It's like, well, we don't really want to be around these people, but then I'm studying and I'm like, all people are equal unity and I should be loving and more kind and this and that. And then we judge ourselves for our inability to be compassionate and be around these people. So the Course says, first of all, remove that judgment of yourself and the question if it's all right or not, right? Because it's fine. There's anything you do is completely fine. Okay, so that's the first thing. When we are in a place of fear and judgment and all of that, we actually aren't open to the possibility of forgiveness and healing right there on the spot, right? So sometimes we have to be physically away from something where we feel safe enough to do the work, or if we get ill and we get sick and we have to physically do something to get us unsick, right? So that I can let go of the fear from that place. Now, as you continue to train, you can also see, why are we placed in front of each other, right? Then the question, when you're away and not like triggered in the moment, then you can say, what's the, like, why? What is it for that this brother is in my life, and to be this way, right? Because sometimes, for example, we do this in the training. Sometimes we say like, oh, like if I say you have a nice black t-shirt on, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I feel good, this is a good conversation, it's very loving and friendly. But it was if I was like, oh, your shirt, that's a really ugly red shirt, and you're like, it's not a red shirt, it's a black shirt, right? And you kind of like go back and forth in this argument. But there's also a consciousness growth that you can get to where somebody's like, oh, that's a really ugly red shirt, and you're just like, yeah, cool, thanks. For me, like, people are like, oh, you're Christian, oh, you're Catholic, oh, you're this. I don't even need to like defend or say anything about anything ever, because I've done the work around it. I've done the think, like, in my own place, I've forgiven the fact that I have judgment and I create separation in that space. So you can think, right now you might not be able to tolerate the way that this brother is being, and then you project it onto all people on how they're, if anybody behaves like that, then I can't be a part of it. See, that work is kind of like the lazy work. That's just saying, well, I'm a victim to it and that's it. But the invitation in that moment is, how can I call upon love and forgiveness so much for this brother and myself, right, that I can tolerate and be around. Actually, I can love this person, right? And that's not to say you have to be around the person to love them, right? You can be like, yeah, I don't even want to be around this person, but I can be still send so much love to this brother. So like, that's another place to be, kind of, I don't want to call it like higher consciousness or elevation, but yeah, that's kind of where we're getting at a little bit. And she dropped off, but maybe we'll continue that conversation when she gets back. But anybody can chime into that if you feel like you have something you want to share also. Yeah, please, Janie.
Thank you so much. Natalie gave me the link, and we were just talking for 5 seconds, and she was like, I'm jumping on this call, come on. So, thank you. This is so beautiful. I'm an interfaith minister, and this is sort of the reason I became an interfaith minister, is that at the base of everything is love. Like, coming from the place of what would love do is so much more freeing than I hate this person, or
Yeah.
It's that generosity of love.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing that is coming up for me is that whoop.
Oh, so no, you're good. You're good.
I moved to Maryland to take care of my parents, and economically it's been a really challenging experience, and I keep coming in and out of fear, because all around me is the paradigm that, oh, your credit rating and these numbers, oh, I'm gonna generate $1 million this year, you know what I mean? It's like that whole conversation seems to be what my brain is saying, this is the focus of humanity right now.
Mm-hmm.
But my heart is just reminded me that I'm here to care for the people who I love the most in the world, who have given me life and the life that I've had, and that is more valuable to me than the other things. But I'm having the conflict because I gotta pay my rent. And
Yeah.
the numbers keep escalating because we seem to be in this period of like, the value of things are not what they have been agreed on previously.
Mm-hmm.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So, approaching it from A Course in Miracles, it's like, how do I continue
let's see, the conflict, how do I not continue the conflict of myself and my value system, because I do need to generate income
Yeah.
as an adult in functioning, world, three-dimensional world today.
Mm-hmm.
But then my higher self, my consciousness is like, oh, I don't want to sell my time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
So
I'm complete. That's my thoughts. Thank you.
I think more than ever, there's this conversation of maybe not more than ever in my field of the world, because this is the work that I'm in. I'm in financials, I'm in real estate, I'm in investments, and I also teach a course in miracles. And then so how do these things kind of come together in a harmonious way, right? Because it's almost like they're complete opposites. Like to take one, it's like I had to let go of the other. And it comes really from this idea of like accumulation, like this physical world where everything's got this value on it, and if I give it away, then I have less of it and you have more of it, and then we start to mix that into time and energy and love, which means if I do something for you, that means I'm sacrificing somewhere else. So then now this idea of sacrifice comes, and we go down this rabbit hole of like, well, I don't really want to do this, but I have to do it because I got to meet these, I got to pay the bills and put food on the table and support whoever I need to support. The foundation that is out for all of this is really just faith, right? Like trusting. My whole life, I've always had the same problem, right? When I was younger, it was over a couple $100s. Then it was over a couple $1,000s. Then it's tens of thousands of dollars. Then it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then it's millions of dollars. And it's just, where does it end? Right? It's like, man, if I just had this amount of money, then I won't have the stress anymore. Well, you know what? Currently in my life, I'm making more money than I've ever made in my life. And all this, and this level of stress, it just hasn't really changed. Right? So then it's not about the physical things or about the money. It's my relationship to those things. And then also my relationship to the fact that wherever I go, God walks with me. That means I will be taken care of always. Right? Like I can have no money, and in the realm of all possible possibilities in the world, somebody can take care of all my expenses, my bills, and all of that. Because that's really what a job really is too. Right? Except we just like labeled it a job. But can I move from thinking about career and making money to like, this is my calling and my ministry, and I just walk down this path and trust and see what doors open up? But we're unwilling to just trust and walk down this path of our passion, our, how we want to support and serve and help humanity. We're like, oh, if I walk down this path, then, where's the money going to come from? Who's going to support me and all that? So really at the core of it, it's the faith and the trust part as a foundation that needs to be worked on. However, now let's go back into the physical world, because we do live here in this physical world. How do we deal with that, right? Because it's kind of the same thing as what Paula asked earlier, just in a different form, which is, this person bugs me and I can't stand them. I don't want to be around them. And is it bad? And, it's really the same question you're asking around finances, which is, should I go take care of my financial needs so that I can now step into trust? Right? Because in a fearful place, when you don't have your basic needs, you can't think about trust and faith in God. So, okay, let me figure out, or creation, or be in creation. So now I am in a constricted place. So then we have to figure out what's the strategy and the tactics, right? So these are things like, on one end, I know where I got to go and I can remember faith and trust. On the other end, yes, I got to take care of some finances. Who are the people in my life that can help me get there? And if I don't have those people, what's up with the relationships that I've built in my life that I can't just, ask for support? Or just from myself, am I unwilling to ask for support because that means a certain thing from me? Right? So all of these are all questions, but really it comes down to, all right, what are the basic needs I need to meet? And when I get there, I know that it's now time to focus on walking the path where I can trust and have faith and see where that takes me, because I need to reinforce the muscles in my mind, in my brain, that I can trust. Because the subconscious part of our mind that we really operate from doesn't really trust, because we keep giving it over to false idols, the Course calls it, and they keep crashing down. And we're like, well, what can I trust? And so we live from a place of, I can't really trust anything in this world. I can't trust people. I can't trust money. Then I can't trust the government. And so everything is just going to like expand the idea that I am somehow a victim to this world, and I can't just be my godly self. And why can't our society just be this way and that way? And so we go down this rabbit hole of everything that is wrong. Because even in what you shared earlier, you said, well, I don't want, right? You're focusing on what I don't want. And really, that's just kind of growing more of that, because that's the idea you're giving it to, rather than the what I want, right? What I want is this. And so then I'm focusing and spiraling down and going down the rabbit hole of what I want and how I get there. But if I focus on what I don't want, even though I'm thinking I don't want it, I'm just constantly going down the rabbit hole, everything that I'm afraid of and the worries around it. And then that's my focus. And then what I don't want just actually becomes more real. Right?
It's so seductive. It's like,
It's simple. It's not easy. It's simple, right? The idea is simple. And that's why we do these calls, so that we can continue to remember, and maybe each one of us can walk one step in the other direction, because, the vision of one world really will cost you the vision of the other. So let me have the vision of forgiveness and clarity and abundance. Let me walk down this path. And as I'm willing to share it, right, I strengthen it if I'm willing to share. That's why sharing on these calls are so amazing too, because I'm strengthening. When words come out of our mouth, it automatically is 10 times stronger than the thought that I had in my head. Because when it's in my head, I can think it and then I can unthink it and I can be good. But if I speak it out into words, all of a sudden now it becomes real. That's why they said word creates, right? First is the word. So word creates. And that's why sometimes when my wife and I get into a conflict, when the words are said, we made an agreement that when we're in conflict, that none of those things are personal, and don't take it as the truth. I won't take it as the truth, and you won't take it as the truth. So we try to keep reminding each other to make that agreement, because when I say something like, you never do this, now that it's out there, she's defending that she does, and then now I have to defend that you never. And so my focus is on never, on more of that, rather than interrupting that. No, that's not even remotely fact, but I have to defend it, right? So these thoughts that we have an opportunity to interrupt them as we continue to practice and study the Course together, because even though we're talking about financials, it's just different forms. All of your problems are different forms of the same thing, of what you've made more real. And so someone else could be thinking about their relationship with their kids. Somebody else might be thinking, an athlete might be thinking about, losing a basketball game. And it's all the same level of disruption and loss of peace in the mind. All right. So, okay, Jill, you want to add something to this, please? And hi.
Hi, Alex. I came in a little late, and I'm receiving so much love from my furry friend. It's so amazing. She just can't get enough. I can't either. But the lady that was speaking, I came in when she was talking about the brother who was giving her a little difficulty.
Yeah.
And a couple of thoughts came to my mind, and one is something that I say to myself, and that is, the people that give you the most difficulty in your life are your best teachers. So if you can separate yourself, or if I can separate myself in a way, and see, and as they're tagging me, as I'm feeling that in my skin, and sometimes I actually feel it in my skin, and I'm getting bothered by it, that's the part where it's the hardest to do the work. But if there's a potential that while you're feeling it, you can see that they're actually your teacher, and they have the potential of teaching you something really great in about yourself more than anything else, because usually what's tagging you about that person, anyone else in the room might not be tagged by it. Sometimes that's not true. Sometimes they're doing things that are disruptive and horrible. But sometimes it's like that. So that was one thing I was thinking of. The other thing I was thinking of was that Jesus always hung out with the bad boys. He hung out with the tax collectors and the people that nobody else liked. And it kind of soiled his reputation in terms of the hierarchy, but not in terms of everybody else. And so there's a lesson in that to be learned as well. And in my own life, I have often, I have friends who I maintain friendships with who I know are drug addicts, alcoholics, gamblers, thieves, all of these kinds of things. And I maintain really nice friendships with those people. And I try to see them as much as I can, that is. You know, when a person is usually involved in that, they're usually oftentimes involved with a whole lying kind of thing going on. But when I say I maintain a friendship, it means that I love them. I see beyond that. And I can definitely see beyond the addiction or beyond the things that are going on. And I see the person that they really are, and I love them for that person. And sometimes when those people challenge me by doing something directly to me, it gets very personal and extremely difficult. But I continue to forgive, because one of the things that Jesus was asked was, how many times do you forgive someone? And he said 7 times 70 in a day. That's 490 times in a day. And so I keep that in the back of my mind, but I don't want to confuse that with, so to speak, getting too close. I don't know how to, you know, there, like you were saying, there's a boundary. And maybe sometimes I'm not so good with those boundaries, because I let people in a little too far. And interestingly, a few days ago, I just came back from 3 weeks away, and I was in the background listening to an astrological forecast, and something just triggered me, and I ran and I got my chart, and then I thought, oh my God, it's exactly my degree point of my birth date, and oh I got to get a reading and all of this stuff. And then I started looking at all my old charts, and I saw that in my chart that would be something that I would have to deal with throughout my life. One of the commentaries was that I would be attracting these kind of questionable types to myself. And so in a way, I kind of felt like, oh well, you know, it's even written in the stars. And but I think the whole practice, the entire practice, is the practice of loving these people and seeing them for the love that you can be, and that they can be for you as well. That there even sometimes people don't know it. My husband used to say, every single gesture a person does is either an offering or love, or a plea for love. And so I think that that's what happened. That's so true. And we can just continue to be, as we read the book and as we continue to do the practice, know that only love is real. And see with only those eyes of loving eyes. And as you know, I read the Urantia book. In the Urantia book, our illnesses, disease, addiction, all of those kind of things that plague our planet have been a result of something that was called the Adam and Eve default, where we didn't get enough of the plasma, of the light plasma from the tree of life. And so it is something that does plague our planet. And it's not something that necessarily we overcome in this lifetime for some people. So, I mean, as much as some people may want to, it may not happen for some people. But anyway, that's all I can contribute for now. But as you know, I'll wait to speak on.
I love it. You know, and it's so, look at everything with when we speak, right, we just look at everything like, oh wow, that was a good way for me to interpret it. Does it serve me or does it not? Right? And what you talked about in forgiveness, the Course says forgiveness recognizes what you thought your brother or sister or whoever did to you has not occurred. Okay. It does not pardon sins and make them real. It sees that there was no sins, and in that view are all sins forgiven. Right? So all minds, first of all minds are joined. If we can come to that place of unity that all minds are joined, that means I can't actually be hurt by anybody. Nobody really can hurt me. Only the picture I have of them hurts me. I have an idea of who they are. I have a picture in my mind and a movie playing of them and who they are. And also I have a picture of myself, right? The Course says these are all ideas to be let go. Even the identity of yourself is an idea to be let go, to be forgiven. Right? And that's the challenge for us, because the Course also says forgiveness offers everything that I want. Right? Forgiveness is what offers everything that I want. And that means, since we are only in relationship with the image or the video we have of people, that's really what's going on. So then if there's only that relationship happening and it's in thought, that means all things are really thought, right? If you attack me and you hurt me, it's in my thought that happened. Okay, now, even beyond this conversation, we also have to ask ourselves, am I my body or am I an idea? Right? If I when I die, if you believe that you die and the body goes to rest and that your soul and your idea goes somewhere, that means, which one is it? Right? Is it just while I'm living here in this world, then I am my body, but when I die, then I'm not my body anymore? Right? And this is why when people die, it's easier kind of to forgive them. And we can actually still forgive somebody and have a healing relationship with someone after they die. So then it comes down to, what is our function here? What do we do while we're in this body? Can we achieve that state of forgiveness while we're in this body? Can we achieve beyond the body while we're in the body? All right, that's kind of like the question for us, because that's how we really have peace with things. But that's an idea, right? That's an idea, and it's a thought that we get to reinforce more of, so that we can live beyond the physical and the 3D while we're still living here, right? We don't give things the power that it doesn't really have, right? Money, fame, people, cars, houses, all these things, we give too much power to them when they really innately have no power. But I gave it the power. So then now it's just, since my idea is I gave it the power in my mind, I can heal that, right? And when you and people can get to a place where you can't be bribed, you can't be compromised by those things, right? That's the practice in life. Is I am a servant to my brothers and my sisters. I am a servant to love and to God. So peace is easy, and it comes to you easily when you are certain that you are loved, or that you are love. Right? And so peace and healing comes from the letting go of all fears. The Course says any healing only happens when we let go of the fear around it. So we might have an idea or a definition for fear, but fear encapsulates basically everything that the ego is. Okay, so if I can overcome those things, then I will be at peace. But in order to overcome it, I have to see things with the right perspective. I have to see things with the right perspective. That means any attack on me is really, the appropriate action is to love. Right? I might see you as attacking me, but because I want to heal and I want you to heal too, together, that means the only appropriate response now is love. And I have to be a servant to love. I have to be this conduit of love. And that means I have to let go of any perceived attacks that I might be seeing. But the way we do that is to recognize first, this attack that I'm perceiving is an interpretation from me and it's not the truth. When we live interpretations as the truth, that is how conflicts are propelled. That's how we continue to go into this cycle of attack and defend and then try to fix it and then attack and defend and try to fix it. And then we just live in that cycle constantly. Right. So, yeah, cool.
Yeah, thank you so much. You're always so enlightening. I so appreciate it. I was also going to mention while you were talking that in A Course in Miracles, there's no degree of miracles. You know, there's miracles. And in the Course in Miracles, if I'm not mistaken, I think it applies to sin as well, like the idea of wrongdoing. And I can't remember how that's worded, but I believe that also Jesus had that, you know, when the woman was at the well and they were casting stones, and he said, you know, he who has not sinned cast the first stone. And so I think it's that story that we all have within us. None of us are perfect, so to speak, in that respect. Now, the Course would say otherwise, but in that respect, in terms of hierarchy of those of miracles or sins, that there isn't one. If you see what I'm saying.
Yeah. You know, to somewhat, so it's a order. There's no order of difficulty in miracles, right? So when it comes to a miracle, it's kind of like when we think, oh, we have things that are big. If I get $1 million, that's a big order of difficulty, right? I got to do all of these things, and then God has to handle all of this in order for that to happen for me. So like we're thinking that's big, but you know, just forgiving somebody, or they maybe stole like $10 from me. Oh, that's easier to forgive than if somebody stole $100,000 from me, right? Like we think there's an order of difficulty based on perceived value of things. And you know, the way that I think about forgiveness, the image I have is like earth and space. Gravity is the judgment of it, right? So if we take, you know, a brick it weighs less than, you know, a vehicle, right? So lifting the brick is easier than lifting the vehicle, but to spirit, if you give it over, lifting the vehicle and the brick is really the same, because it's kind of like in space there's no gravity. So that's how I imagine the order of difficulty of things when there's just really none, right? It's just, let's not figure out how to purify and then give it over to God. It's, let me just give it over now. You know, let me just give it over now, and then it's off my shoulders. All of the conflicts and questions that we have really can be, you know, because we can go back and forth like, oh, then why are we here? Why are we playing this game? Why are we in this dream world? None of that really matters, and no answer is really going to satisfy you ultimately. The game that we're playing is how much peace do we have? How do I have more peace? We're always relating it back to, can I have more peace? You know, if I just take this and give it over, and it's no longer my conflicting question constantly, right? So like, for example, somebody can lose their peace completely, not knowing where we go after we die. You know, we can get into this whole debate of heaven, hell, reincarnation, whatever, all these things. But at the end of the day, that, like, you asking that question, there is a disturbance to your mind that you're not having peace. See, that conflict creates the loss of peace, and that loss of peace is equally disturbing to your mind than anything that is bigger that you think is bigger or not. All right, so in the course it actually has there's a section called obstacles to peace. And one of the first thing is like how fast we want to throw away peace. You know, this desire for us to get rid of it. We rather be right about something than to have peace in our life. I'd rather be right about the worries I have and the people that cause these problems than to have more peace in my life. So everything comes down to that. And so then we can look back to, if I want peace, then there's only two things ever happening. One, I'm either forgiving, or two, I am condemning. Condemnation leads to conflict, and forgiveness leads to peace. And that's the only two, like, even as you're listening to what I'm saying, or when you just kind of go out throughout your day, just recognize there's only two things that I'm doing. I'm either perceiving the world from a place of forgiveness, which is, oh, I let go of my idea of how things should be. So I'm going to just, be in this acceptance and surrender place. And if I don't have a judgment around it and my certainty is love and God, then peace stays with me. But if I come from condemnation, I am judging it. I am thinking it's right or wrong, or if this is good or bad information, or whatever it is, that ultimately everything just leads to more conflict. And then your one conflicting thought takes form in your life, and then it creates another and another and another. Right? So anything that triggers us actually is an opportunity for us to say, how do I practice forgiveness and love right now? Right? Because in that space we can heal. So then almost like I'm welcoming the challenges. I can change my relationship to the people and the things and the information and all the stuff in the world that actually challenges me. When I can write my perception about what they are for me.
Well, I often think that those challenges come heavier as, like you say, as a challenge. I mean, like you say, I welcome them because the way it shows me that I've grown that much. Because if you think of the ultimate, who is the ultimate? Once again, Jesus on the cross saying, "Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do," as he's on the cross. And that's the ultimate forgiveness.
Yeah.
And so as things come at me that in a way are more challenging, and I'm able to step aside, which oftentimes I am not, but when I can step aside, usually after the fact, but at least I can see it. I see it as opportunities. And the lady that was talking earlier about the man that was giving her those difficulties, it is an opportunity. And it is an opportunity to forgive and to feel that forgiveness within yourself because you're aware of it. And while that's going on, because now you have that going on right at the moment. And you have this group, we all have this amazing group to share it with. They definitely come up, and they come up in bigger and bigger ways, I think, as we grow. So that's how I see it. I see the ones that come up that are really big, that come up, like even right now, this entire thing that's going on with my family, to continue to love them, and as an even bigger opportunity for my own personal growth. And it's harder and harder, but I think that as we're awake to it, as we're aware of it, and we can continue our forgiveness practice, because that's what the Course in Miracles is. It's forgiveness, the continual forgiveness practice. And it's such a blessing to have you all here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining and always being in contribution to, the healing of all of us and the remembering. Yeah, anybody else want to share anything? Anything you feel is alive in you right now? Challenges that you may want to share, or just, any feedback you want to give to the group?
I appreciate this very much, Alex, and I'm grateful just to be able to be here. I hopped in after church a little late, but I'm hearing this dialogue, and I had a bit of a revelation in another Zoom family room associated with another group I'm with, that also are Jesus followers. They're not religious per se. I think you touched on it here a lot, that Jesus actually hated religion. But for a long time, I've been working on the concept of a book, and I've just not done it because our real estate business has got such momentum. But I look forward to and I can use AI for it, because there's so much that can be filled in, and I just polish it and make it signature. But it became 2 books for children at a elementary school level and children at at an adolescent level, like before between 13 and 18. And it's like, she just mentioned how on the cross, yes, Jesus said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." But I can imagine Jesus' mother outed him, if you will, at the wedding at Cana, that she knew of his supernatural powers, but it had not been yet made public. And this is before he went on his world tour that was only really 3 years before he died on the cross, and people wanted to know who he was. And he had to leave his local community because everybody thought he was just the carpenter's kid, and no one wanted to listen to him. And I can imagine between the time when he was speaking to the elders in the temple and all of his brothers, his mom, and all of his brothers and sisters to look for him. He's like, "Why are you surprised? I'm going about my Father's business." But all the moments that we don't know about that happened between when he was 13 and 18, for example. And one of them was the epiphany that I had when, his having said on the cross, "Father, forgive them when they know not what they do." That was maybe the 1,000th time he had thought of that. In all these places where he went before, when he had supernatural powers, that he wasn't exercising fully, he was growing as a child, he knew his place, he was fully God and fully man. To walk into hating religion, hating the church, and to the degree that, that the depth of, having a passion for what's really wrong with the world and why I even came here in the first place, was, sitting in a church setting and willingly not saying anything, willingly not showing his powers, yet, how they say for every action there's a reaction. And let's just imagine he's sitting in a church service, and whoever's in the pulpit is saying all kinds of things that aren't true, quoting scripture of all kinds of things that aren't true, imposing the will and manipulations on other people, and Jesus sitting there, being fully God, being fully man, being at the same time as a human, frustrated that this message is getting to the people in the way that it is, which is not the way God intended, which is why he's there, and saying, "Father, forgive them, that they knows not what they do." But as to deploy that energy across the room, someone who needs to be healed, becoming miraculously healed and not knowing where it came from, just because Jesus had to deploy that energy of what he was not in a position to speak out on, of where he was, and perform miracles and creating miracles, pointing out individuals, knowing the hair on everyone's head of everyone in the room, and who he could help and what he did. And so I just think it's, it just reminded me of that. And you are a catalyst of those sorts of things in what you do. And, I want to give you credit, but you asked if this sparked some sort of expression, and that's it.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing all that. And this is what the Course says too about, Jesus's journey. And what Jesus is saying to us is, look, I am your bridge to the atonement, because I have completed it first. And I've completed it so much so that, what we witnessed before was his journey to the atonement, right? So he's done it. And he's shown some of the things that this is how you get there, right? But now it's like, give your faith over to me, right? Give your challenges, give all the problems that you have over to me, because I know what to do with it. And here's the Holy Spirit, which is the voice of God, that on one hand knows the truth, like truth with the capital T, not any of our truths, right? So on one hand, the Holy Spirit knows truth with the capital T, and then the other part is our struggles and our illusions and delusions and things that we give over to make God of. Holy Spirit knows both of those. That's why he can be the mediator to handle and to actually in a right way judge whatever we have. So coming from that place, like, okay, if I want to be at peace, then let me give over the things that I put on my shoulders that don't really belong there, right? I think it's my responsibility to fix this person or this situation when there is nothing to fix in the first place. In order to heal anything is to see that there was nothing broken in the first place. That's how it's healed, right? So even if Jesus is being crucified, he's like, there's no wrong happening. Now, can we begin to perceive in that way, right? Jesus is telling us, hey, I'm asking for forgiveness for them. There's really nothing wrong. Forgiveness is happening. right? And they will be forgiven. So this is the demonstration for us to say, oh, let's not look at things like it's an attack or whatever, but let me look at it from a place of, here's an opportunity for me to practice forgiveness. That's the only game that we're playing, is let me practice and see with the eyes of love and forgiveness, so that I can walk down the path of truth. I can be in alignment to truth, so that miracles show up not as something I'm seeking, but as a natural path to returning home. A natural occurrence to my journey back home is what is what's happening if I align myself to the truth. Okay, so I do want to get at least our section here done here today. We do have like 30 more minutes. So, I think we've kind of opened it up enough to say, all right, there's something else here, something for us to remember. We're kind of teetering between, trying to understand versus letting it all go and just allowing miracles to show up. So as I read this section, this is the confusion of pain and joy. This is the Course saying, you may not even know. See, the reason why you don't know what you want is because you confuse pain and joy. And so this section is kind of like the Course saying, okay, you see how sometimes you want pain. So you don't really know what you want. So then give it over to me and I will tell you and give you what you need. All right, so, and then after this part, it's a quick, short read, and then we'll go into some more discussion, and then we'll wrap it up for today. So hopefully, if you tuned into any part of this and what you're seeing, it's chapter 7, section 10, the confusion of pain and joy. So we're still going on chapter 7. There's 31 chapters, and we started the year on introduction on January 1st. So we're kind of just going along, right? This might probably take us, in our pace right now, probably 3 years to complete this book, which is great. I've been studying the Course for like 7 years of my life, teaching it for 5, and every day I still lose my peace. So then what is it really for, right? But it's just, there's an understanding I lose my peace less. The way I walk down life, I remember what I'm doing, more often. Right, that I'm, when I get conflicted and I get worried about the conference I'm putting on in October, oh my God, the money that I'm spending. Oh my God, where's the sponsors? Oh my God, what's the schedule going to look like? And are people going to, all those questions are a waste really of energy, And when I give it over to God, I'm like, yeah, I'm here to serve not only the people that are in as attendees, but I'm also serving the speakers, and then I'm also serving the hotel, the person that helped me put it together, and my team, and anybody that gets to witness this. And ultimately, I'm also serving myself to see at what capacity can I make a difference in people's lives. And then when that comes to my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, there's really nothing to worry about right now. So I'm teetering back and forth too. So somebody was sharing earlier, like the stakes get higher and higher as we're playing this game in life. Because maybe we can forgive a small thing. And then God's like, oh yeah, so you want to practice forgiveness, you want to be in love, you want to return to peace, then here's the next thing, right? Now the stakes get higher, and the stakes get higher and higher and higher, until ultimately we get to a place where we just completely are in trust and in flow more of our day than not, so that's really it. Like if we live the life of undisciplined and undevoted mind, we just allow our mind to run rapid and have all sorts of fears and worries come up. As we get older, like there's more stories and more things that we get to work through and let go of. I was watching a LeBron James documentary last night, and, their biggest stress is losing a basketball game. And as we're like out here trying to make a living, provide for our kids and all that, we're like, losing a basketball game, but it just kind of stakes keep getting higher, and it's different. We all have our own curriculums. So in this section, try to allow yourself to let whatever information is meant to download for you here. But the section is called the confusion of pain and joy. Okay. The kingdom is the result of premises, just as this world is. You may have carried the ego's reasoning to its logical conclusion, which is total confusion about everything. If you really saw this result, you would not want it. The only reason you could possibly want any part of it is because you do not see the whole of it. You are willing to look at the ego's premises, but not at the logical outcome. Is it not possible that you have done the same thing with the premises of God? Your creations are the logical outcome of his premises. His thinking has established them for you. They are exactly where they belong. They belong in your mind as part of your identification with his. But your state of mind and your recognition of what is in it depend on what you believe about your mind. Whatever these beliefs may be, they are the premises that will determine what you accept into your mind. It is surely clear that you can both accept into your mind what is not there and deny what is. Yet the function God himself gave your mind through his, you may deny, but you cannot prevent. It is logical outcome of what you are. The ability to see a logical outcome depends on your willingness to see it. But its truth has nothing to do with your willingness. Truth is God's will. Share his will, and you will share what he knows. Deny his will as yours, and you are denying his kingdom and yours. So again, this kind of goes back to our conversation of everybody participates in the will of God. Whether you see it or you deny it or not does not matter. However, your peace, the level of peace that you have, will matter. That's the outcome of it. The Holy Spirit will direct you only as to avoid pain. Surely no one was subject to this goal if he recognized it. The problem is not whether what the Holy Spirit says is true, but whether you want to listen to what he says. You no more recognize what is painful than you know what is joyful, and are, in fact, very apt to confuse the two. So here's the course going to tell us about why we confuse and how we confuse what is joyful and what is painful. The Holy Spirit's main function is to teach you to tell them apart. What is joyful to you is painful to the ego, and as long as you are in doubt about what you are, you will confuse joy and pain. This confusion is the cause of the whole idea of sacrifice. Obey the Holy Spirit and you will be giving up the ego, but you will be sacrificing nothing. On the contrary, you will gain everything. If you believe this, there would be no conflict. That is why you need to demonstrate the obvious to yourself. It is not obvious to you. You believe that doing the opposite of God's will can be better for you. You also believe that it is possible to do the opposite of God's will. Therefore, you believe that an impossible choice is open to you, and one which is both fearful and desirable. Yet God wills. He does not wish. Your will is as powerful as his because it is his. The ego's wish do not mean anything because the ego wishes for the impossible. You can wish for the impossible, but you can will only with God. This is the ego's weakness and your strength. The Holy Spirit always sides with you and your strength as long as you avoid his guidance in any way you want to be weak. Yet weakness is frightening. What else can this decision mean except that you want to be fearful? So the Course is like calling us out that you want to be fearful. And we're like, wait, no, I don't. See, the ego is listening right now. No, I don't. This doesn't really make sense. So as the Course is calling out the ego, if we're listening from that place, we will check out to what the Course is trying to tell us right now. Okay, because we're like, wait, no, I don't. The Holy Spirit never asks for sacrifice, but the ego always does. When you are confused about this distinction in motivation, it can only be due to projection. Projection is a confusion in motivation, and giving this confusion, trust becomes impossible. No one gladly obeys the guide he does not trust, but this does not mean that the guide is untrustworthy. In this case, it always means that the follower is. However, this too is merely a matter of his own belief. Believing that he can betray, he believes that everything can betray him. Yet this is only because he elects to follow false guidance. Unable to follow his guidance without fear, he associates fear with guidance and refuses to follow any guidance at all. If the result of this decision is confusion, this is hardly surprising. See, we confuse fear with guidance, right? We think that guidance is fearful. So then we're like, wait, we don't need to be guided by anybody because I know what's best for me. And what you think is best for you often is in conflict with the will of God, which is to unite all the brothers and sisters. And so you have your own ideas of this person doesn't deserve love, this person doesn't deserve my attention, this person doesn't deserve this. And if I do it, I am sacrificing my time, my energy, my resources. And so therefore, if I do it, and in the idea of sacrifice, that means I have less of. The Holy Spirit is perfectly trustworthy as you are. God himself trusts you, and therefore your trustworthiness is beyond question. It will remain beyond question, however much you may question it. See, as you believe that others are untrustworthy, you're actually saying that I'm untrustworthy. Okay, because you don't trust the path. You don't trust the way. And so I can't trust that. And because I am, and when I think that, remember, projection makes perception. If I think that, that means I must make it real inside myself first, and then I project it out, and then I perceive it back as the truth. See, like writing this projection makes perception, because how we do as human beings is we perceive something first, we think we perceive it first, and then we're like, oh, that's causing me pain, and then this is what I'm experiencing. So, and then I'm projecting out. Like, you first. I'm the victim of you. Perception comes first in our egoic mind, but when we write the cause and effect, we recognize that, oh, I must have made it real first. That's why I'm looking for evidence in the world, and then I'm perceiving that back as evidence and giving me justification to project. Okay, and that's the vicious cycle that we also go on to. I have said that you are the will of God. His will is not an idle wish, and your identification with his will is not optional, since it is what you are. Sharing his will with me is not really open to choice, though it may seem to be. The whole separation lies in this error. The only way out of error is to decide that you do not have to decide anything. Everything has been given you by God's decision. That is his will, and you cannot undo it. Even the relinquishment of your false decision-making prerogative, which the ego guards so jealously, is not accomplished by your wish. It was accomplished for you by the will of God, who has not left you comfortless. His voice will teach you how to distinguish between pain and joy, and will lead you out of the confusion that you have made. There is no confusion in the mind of Son of God, whose will must be the will of the Father, because the Father's will is his Son. So this is kind of telling us, when we align our will to our Father's will, to the Creator, that we now can distinguish between pain and joy. Right? Otherwise, we are calling for things that we think are going to bring us joy, but actually brings us more pain. And we can look at how we want love in our life, you know, where we give our like specialness to, like we want another person and we give our power over to somebody else, and then they pass away or they leave us, and then it just brings more pain. So what we think we want, you know, we give over to something else, and we look for the love that is missing in us, that we believe is lacking in us, in somebody else. The fulfillment in me, I look towards money to fulfill this lack that I feel in me. And so as we continue to do that, it just keeps letting us down. And so we're actually confusing pain with joy, because what we'll sacrifice is our relationship and our time with the people and and doing the things that matter. Okay. Miracles are in accord with the will of God, whose will you do not know, because you're confused about what you will. This means that you are confused about what you are. If you are God's will and do not accept his will, you are denying joy. The miracle is therefore a lesson in what joy is. Being a lesson in sharing, it is a lesson in love, which is joy. Every miracle is thus a lesson in truth, and by offering truth, you are learning the difference between pain and joy. So we're not really like defining what is painful and joyful. What we're defining here is that this is the path for you to distinguish what is going to bring you pain and what is going to bring you joy. And that path is to align your will with God's will. We are the faucet, not the water. By recognizing that I am just a conduit of God's will, that this love and light shines and is pouring into me infinitely, and my job is to open the faucet as big as I possibly can so that I can experience the love and light that is blasting into me, flowing through me. But every time that I turn it off a little bit, I now experience less. I'm giving less water is coming out, but I'm also experiencing less of the abundance that keeps coming. Right? So in this like sharing, if I just share more and give more and give more, I'm just recognizing how much is given to me. I'm like, wait, what if I turned it bigger? What if I turned it more? What if I expanded my light and loved all the people that are triggering me? What if I forgave all the judgments that I had about anything in the world, about Donald Trump, about whoever, about Hitler? If I can open myself more to those things and shine love and light onto it, all I'm doing really is experiencing the amount of love that is flowing through me, that is given me from God. And then I'm like, wow, I have that type of capacity that I didn't know about. You know, I can forgive and love this person so much, and it doesn't hurt me, and it doesn't require sacrifice. And then further, if we can take that and apply into the physical world, I can be this generous with my money and have more of it. Right? But when we're like, no, I need it, I need to accumulate more of it, it stops the flow, it stops the current. So, yes, in those moments that we are afraid to give, when we are contracting, practice giving more. Right? When you don't feel like you have enough time, go and give more time. When you don't feel like you have money and you're having all these things, give it. And I'm not just saying give it to someone else, but you can also give to yourself. We have the capacity to overcome any challenges that arise in front of us. So, all right, that's that section. It's chapter 7, section 9. We are almost finished with chapter 7. The next section is on Wednesday when we do the state of grace. And then we go into one of my favorite chapters, the journey back. So, go ahead, Cypher. Go ahead, brother.
Hi, Eric. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Okay, I want to introduce you. I'm here at a Messianic church called Meiji Sama. He's from Japan, and I just happened to finish, and I wanted to take this opportunity to share that we have the thinking of peace, health, peace, and prosperity. And as I'm writing the magic of the three bodies, peace, well, actually, health is the body, which is the earth. Peace is the mind, which is water. And prosperity is the feeling of the heart. And we heal people with something called yore, the ray is if I can put here and show you guys. This is the master called Nature Sama.
Hmm.
This is light in Japanese, and we had a culture for ancestors, and we believe in this called Ikebana. It's
Nice.
like we do these little things for people, and she was saying that when we focus on other people, is when we really become the greatest of ourselves. And Ms. Sama has taught that. This is one of the things that I practice, and I just wanted to share with everybody about health, truth, and prosperity, and all of that equals to love. And I started to present this to you guys. It's very interesting about we can feel we have something, a medallion that we get so we can share this practice with. It's
Nice.
very, very interesting. So I wanted to share that with you. Since I was here, I don't usually come, but today I came because it's the ancestors' ceremony, and it's finished. Everybody left, and I'm the only one here. So
Nice.
I was waiting for this opportunity to share with you, brother. So
Yeah,
thanks
thank
for
you.
sharing. I love you, and I love everyone, and thanks for allowing me to share, bro.
Oh, thank you so much for being here and sharing that with us.
Thank you, brother.
So we have a couple more minutes. Does anybody want to share anything else? Ask any questions about the course? Whatever is alive. How do we want to end this call here today?
Hey Alex, I just wanted to say that I just feel so blessed to have been be a part of this with you for what it seems like I don't know, like almost 5 years. Is it almost 5 years now?
I think it's
About
5,
5 years
yeah.
now. And the work it never ends. You know, it never ends. It really is. Just when you think you think you got it, it's a work in progress. It's like a live document, and every day is every day is a lesson. And thank you so much for being such a fearless leader.
Oh,
And we'll see
man.
you next
Thank
month.
you. Yeah, thank you for always having my back and having such kind words and everything for everything that, that we are creating here. So, yeah, love it. Go ahead, Jill.
On the paragraph 4, I think of what with the reading you just were doing, something sort of struck me interesting because there's a prayer that I often say from A Course in Miracles. I can't remember, it may be around in this page 60 something, but I don't have my book here. And but anyway, it was interesting because it says your will is as powerful as his because it is his.
Mm-hmm.
And so it made me stop because the prayer that I often have is that my will aligns with the will of God. But what that's saying right here to me is that it is his.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, that's kind of saying, like, I don't need to pray for that. I don't know that that's true or not, but because the prayer I think that I say came from A Course in Miracles. And so I just thought that was kind of interesting.
So here's the thing, like prayers are the median to miracles. Miracles are natural occurrences of life. So what we're praying for is for us to return to the will of God or the natural occurrences of the world. God does not need our prayer, nor do we actually need our prayers ourselves because it is what it is. But we're praying to realign ourselves and our thinking to that place. My wife and I have been doing a practice of what I love about you is. It's not for me, it's not for her to hear what I love about her is, because that already exists. It's just for me to remember to be grateful, and it just changes where I focus the energy of my mind. right? Because in the beginning, she's like, well, I need a variety. When you say what I love about you is I need variety of things, in order to, I'm like, okay, wait, let's try this on, which is the reason we're saying is not for the other person. It's really just for ourselves to remember so that we can operate and be in the rest of our day of our life more of what I love about X, Y, Z, So that's why when we do gratitude affirmations, nobody needs our gratitude, nor does God need our prayers. We just need it in order to be more joyful throughout the day and be more loving. So that's why we do it. When we say, oh, sometimes we get confused, like God needs our prayer. There's there's a lot of Greek mythology and movies about like the Greek gods that they lose more power as people like don't pray, but it's just the idea and the existence of them becomes less in our own mind when we don't pray, right? The idea of miracles being a natural occurrence of our life becomes more diminished when we don't think about it and when we don't pray and we don't allow miracles to show up for us. When we actually block miracles because we confuse that, prayer is joy. Prayer is to allow joy to flow more into my life, but I don't pray because I'd rather do all the other things on my checklist, which I think will bring me joy, but all those things actually bring me pain because I'm disconnected from joy and miracles, right? I'm not experiencing miracles. So, that's why these prayers, it's not for God, it's for us.
I couldn't agree with you more, Alex. There's a scripture that says, pray without ceasing. And I interpret that to mean gratitude. To just like you said, to be able to itemize, every breath you take is a gift from God. The breath in your lungs is the breath of God. And so to be able to deploy our gifts and talents in the way only each of us can, it's all a gift from God. And when we can itemize that for the people we choose to have in our lives that we love, I agree with you. It's for us to be reminded ourselves of why we're in the place we're in at any given moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so as we wrap up here today, I'm just going to close it out with one final reading from Marianne's book on becoming who we really are. Okay, go ahead, Fraser, real quick.
I just wanted to say, too, like, for those people that actually, like, read the Bible as well, to remember that he always wants abundance for us. And Ephesians 3:20 says, now to him who is able to do far more abundantly than all that we ask or think, according to the power at work within us.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Okay, so wrapping it up, I'm going to just read on becoming who we really are. Practice kindness and you start to become kind. Practice discipline and you start to become disciplined. Practice forgiveness and you start becoming forgiving. Practice charity and you start to become charitable. Practice gentleness and you start to become gentle. It doesn't matter whether you're in the mood to be gracious to the bank teller today. Do it anyway, and watch how it begins to affect your mood. Just push the button of the self you wish to be, and the synapses that makes up that personality begins to form. Your best self already exists in the ethers. Just waiting to be downloaded. We become gracious when we decide to be gracious. We have the power to generate as well as react to feelings, to hone our personalities as we travel through life. In the words of George Eliot, it is never too late to be what you might have been. It is never too late to become who we really are. That's a good one. It is never too late to be what you might have been. Oh, look at that one. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for today. Happy Sunday, everybody. I'm going to Unity Church now to go get some blessings from them. and to bless them as well. So have a fantastic Sunday, everybody. So much love to everybody. Thank you for being here and witnessing and being a part of this healing of the world. So, all right. See you later, everybody.